everybody to Skull Her Podcast. Woo! I'm showing some nip! Middle nip, everybody. Welcome to the Skull Hunter Podcast. Thank you, Anchor, for sponsoring the podcast. All your podcasts need in one app. Make sure to download Anchor. We'll talk about them later on in the podcast. But join us today. We got some boys. We got Joseph and Charles, everybody. What's up?
You can join us embracing his inner magic mic for some shit.
Yeah, baby.
I tried to warn him about the shirt. We might call that nipping it in the bud, but didn't.
he was trying. Joseph was trying, guys. He was like, bro, take the shirt off. And I went, on camera, baby, on camera. So one button at a time. This is why you watch the video podcast and don't just listen to the audio. But we love you, audio listeners. We really, really do. We love you all. So how's you guys' weeks been? What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, I'm a freaking Sub-Zero, freaking making it freezing cold in my freaking house.
I don't think a Sub-Zero had anything to do with that. So I think it snowed for everyone. For everyone.
Oh yeah. It snowed majorly up to our cabs here. So we looked out the window and saw how traffic was jammed, and we thought, let's go for a walk.
You know what?
Jack first, fuck on.
Yeah, well, if we don't, we lose our Canadian citizenship. So we had to do at least one walk through snowy weather. I've always wondered what a Starbucks looks like, but no customers. And today that dream came true.
Dude, you must have never been inside a local Target. Like a lot of the times they will have no one in line at like 6 o'clock.
Dude, they tried to open up Target in Canada.
What? They did?
They tried. They opened up like 12 or 13 across the country. And then after, I think, like 4 or 5 years, might have been less than that, the whole thing shut down. Every last one of them.
I did not.
There were numerous
that.
jokes about accuracy and and bullseyes and targeting and
Because
all
of
that.
a target,
they were all made.
yeah.
They were all made. Yeah, I'm not breaking any new ground here, but yeah, no, I briefly experienced what life was like. It's a red Walmart.
You still have Toys R Us?
Yep.
It's weird because technically no, but also yes. Like we've crossed a few like Toys R Us for infants and toddlers. Mm-hmm. And I think we have 1 or 2 still lingering in a boot, but for the most part, Toys R Us is pretty much. I'll look it up.
As far as I know, they're supposed to be reopening Toys R Us in some
I hope so.
In the US.
I hope so. There are certain stores that you gotta see the stuff in person. That's being the e-commerce guy that I am.
So here's the best part about the Toys R Us situation. I told Brittany, I told my dad, I told everyone I knew they were coming back. It was a way that they can build hype back in and make it happen. And I was on it. I was spot on. And I was like, yeah, told you, Dad, I can do something. Please come back. So those were the situation. My dad never left, hypothetically. He's in Georgia. So
they opened a Toys R Us here in Mooresville. That'd be freaking nice. I'd actually go there freaking a bunch.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just gonna say that I would only go for like that like kind of kid experience. Like who now walks in the toy aisle at Walmart just to kind of like just see what they have? Because as a kid you couldn't do it, so it was like now you're an adult, you're like, Mom can't stop me. So and then you just walk down the aisle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So real quick, I looked up. Yeah, we still got them.
Oh, okay. Score 1 to Toys R Us. Yeah,
it might be expensive, but Toys R Us always had shit that you wouldn't see anywhere else.
That is 100% true. They had a bunch of toys that no one cared about. I zoomed in too close, so close up time. But I mean, when it's all said and done, though, I think Toys R Us is one of those places that you go there for not the expensive toys. You go there for like that experience of like, I was a child here and you want your kids to see it and everything else. But I don't remember ever being inside Toys R Us and Mom and Dad actually bought anything for me there. I'm pretty sure it was just a less window shops. Like, yeah, Mom, thanks for being poor. But I mean, it is what it is.
We used to have in Concord, and I'd go there if they still had them. I had one here in Mooresville for the same reason, because I would hopefully be able to find something I'd want, even if it is expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a general consensus, or however you say those words. I think that's
Consensus.
yeah. That's it.
I'm still a freaking kid on the inside.
I am an immature adult. That's what I'm going. You know
If
what? I'm an adult now, baby.
if you go to Toys R Us and they have it characterized by age, so it's like let's see here, so 8 to 11, 12 to 14, and then big kids, which is
Us.
us.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
how we all just knew it's us. It's 100% us.
So I before we we jump into our stories, I've always like struggled with this about the whole like being perceived as like a 30-year-old or 20-year-old a child and stuff like that. And I remember when Jen and we paid a visit to Great Wolf Lodge. I always wanted to go since I was a kid basically, and we we're talking to the waitress who's serving us dinner for the night. And I said, I always wanted to go. And she says, because you wanted to feel like a kid again. And I was like, crap, I don't have a good response for this. She's like, come on, in a minute. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. But like, looking back on it, what I wish I had said was, I got to be honest with you, lady. I ain't never stopped feeling like a kid. I don't know. I've tried everything. I'm a manager at a company. I'm salaried. I have a retirement plan. I vote. I still feel like I don't know what else to do. And in the reality is like most people, you'd have to not be a kid to not be a kid. Like you would have to kill a man to stop feeling like a kid. Like you'd have to do something so like egregious and raw and real for that side of you to wither away and die. Like it's just like our prior generations, they're as childish as we are. They just don't have the same outlets to express that as we do. What are still what's still a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar industry? Sports or games. Okay, grown ass men who will take a dump on entire generations will still go to a stadium, paint themselves to watch other grown ass men play soccer, or football, depending on which
depends on where you're from. Still,
and I have no problem with that. I mean, I used to. But now I've come to respect sports for the game side of it. I love the strategy. I love that side of it. And I edit a sports podcast, so I'm like, I'm a Packers fan by osmosis. So like, if somebody says, "Oh, I feel like a kid again," well, it's like, man, we're all still useful one way or another. Try to fight it. You're gonna lose.
Yeah. 100%. Like we're all just like, never gonna really lose that kid side. I mean, you might have to put your responsibilities ahead, but who here, if you had $50 of just, I read a book, it's called FU Money. If you had $50 of FU money, what would you do? I would personally buy stuff for my office that would be considered toys.
First thing on my buy list is I gotta find a Wii U Pro controller, because I plugged in the Wii U because I wanted to play Breath of the Wild again. I don't have it on the Switch, but my tablet my Wii U controller doesn't work, so I gotta get another one. That's what I would do with the $50. Is I buy a Wii U Pro controller.
Yeah.
Everybody in my family always thinking mad because I still like to collect stuff like NASCAR diecast and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Because if for kids, damn.
Okay, well, I thought you said collect, not obsess. So, maybe tone that down. No, I'm joking. I mean, we all have our stuff. I spend over about $100 on Magic cards on a week or on a monthly basis. And it's just because it's something I enjoy doing. I play the game, but I also collect them. And now I'm going to start selling them soon because I don't need all of them. I mean, I don't even play with some of them. They're good for one format. And I'm like, I don't really need them. So why keep them? So we all have that childness in our heart. Maybe I will learn proper English. That's not gonna happen. Good Yu-Gi-Oh card. Good Yu-Gi-Oh card. Oh, that's a deck, not a card. My bad.
I still play Yu-Gi-Oh whenever I get the chance to, and I still collect them. I've had to think of money. There's a freaking set that I want to buy boxes of, because there's cards I need, and there's ones that I want to get just so I can turn around and sell them. I know people want it.
I want all of us to open up a pack of original Pokemon cards and see who gets the most expensive pack. I hate it. I've been watching people open up Pokemon cards. I'm telling you, all I want to do now is open up Pokemon cards. And it's just for that nostalgia that I just want to have. Like, last time I opened it up, I was like 9 years old or 10 years old, opening a pack of Pokemon cards. So it's not the same with Magic. It has to be Pokemon, where the generation I was buying them in. So,
Fair
but they're
enough.
expensive as hell. So it's
Fair
kind
enough.
of hard to do.
My mom bought me Charles. I respect your desire to say things, but you're not even like on camera. So,
I love the cut to his screen. It's just nothing.
sorry. I was just gonna say my one of my Christmas gifts, this is like 4 years ago, when it was Shadows over Innistrad was one of the ones in circulation. My mom buys me a one booster pack. I mean, there was other gifts too, but one booster pack of Magic the Gathering. I open that bad boy up and I pull an Archangel Avacyn from Shadows over Innistrad. I never swore so loudly on a Christmas day, or really ever. And you know what? After that, I said, I don't ever need to open a booster pack ever again. What's going to top that? Like getting Archangel Avacyn on Christmas? I've actually managed to completely purge the need to open up boosters out of my system. And now I have to find a way to have like other experiences that are so good that there's no replicating that. And that is the key to beating addiction. All right.
That is the key to beating addiction. So that works. What, Charles?
I was just going to say, if you can even find a single box of the original Pokemon set that has a rare Charizard that's like $1 million now, whatever it is, if you're even lucky to pull that, that's a fortune in itself, just trying to find a box of those packs.
Unfortunately, yeah. Logan Paul did a whole video here recently with and I would like to also point this out and say this. I don't hate Logan Paul at all. He's an amazing content creator. He's does his things. Jake Paul, I'm a little about, but not because of the way I don't know. I don't know. It's nothing. No hate on him. I have no comment just because like he's just not on my radar. So. Yeah, and that's the thing is like Jake Paul doesn't do anything I like, and Logan Paul is just like But I've been watching him open up Pokemon cards, and then he releases a video that hits trending #1 on YouTube, and it's spending $3.5 million on Pokemon cards, and they were fake, but they were official. Like they were graded for the box it came in, and 100%. Like the graders were there and said, "We 100% will say this is a top graded. This is real. This is real." They opened the box immediately, and then they knew something was off. The coloring was different. The packs were different. They opened up the actual boxes, and it was G.I. Joe. And oh my god, dude, I like the collector and like the joy of opening up stuff. I was even like, God, no, like that would be the worst thing ever. I mean, yeah, he lost 3.5 million, but boo hoo, you'll make it back. But money's money.
That's pocket change.
Yeah, for him, it's like pocket change. I mean, he's gonna make it back, so I mean, it's not a big deal.
I'm gonna have to side with the disgustingly wealthy on this one. I feel like losing $3.5 million is still gonna sting pretty darn hard.
Oh yeah, it's still gonna hurt, but for someone as big as someone like Logan Paul, I think it's more of just the emotional breakdown from you spent $3.5 million and will you get it back? And then the fact that you could have just not have bought that box and kept $3.5 million. He did get a refund. I'm not going to spoil his video and stuff, but he did get a refund for it. He's good friends with the guy who sold him the box. They all thought it was real, but yeah, so he did get a refund. So we got his $3.5 million back and whatever YouTube's AdSense gave to the video. So you know what? Good for him. Good for him,
He probably took that money when he got it back and bought like another house or a fucking Lamborghini or some shit.
I think Logan moved to Mexico. I think he moved to Mexico. I'm pretty certain. I'm not 100% certain. This is not a Logan Paul podcast. This is our podcast, so we're not gonna keep on Logan too much. But we might keep on a little gangsta.
Wonder when he pissed off and he needed to move to Mexico.
I don't know. Logan's not in the podcast, okay?
Is that a threat? If somebody gets pissed off, it's like, that does it. I'm going to Mexico.
You get
Later,
threatened, you're just like,
pendejos.
forget it. I'm going to Mexico.
Yeah, like you're taking your kids on a road trip. It's like, you don't stop. You better behave
Yep.
or we're going home. No, instead you threaten to go somewhere else that the kids don't want to go. Oh, everybody calm down. We're going to Mexico.
Yep. Or Arizona. It's like the same place.
Or Detroit.
It's almost the same thing. Yeah, what's up, Charles?
I was just saying, or Detroit, if that freaking meme of that dude flipping out because he was being sent to Detroit for whatever reason in that old movie.
I know what you're talking about, and I want to pretend I don't. Because we got a topic to discuss. So Xbox, or not Xbox, but Microsoft has announced or has officially confirmed that they are the manufacturing for the Xbox One consoles has been
Yeah.
let's blame lag. Let's cut that part out. The Xbox One consoles have been officially stopped being manufactured. And so the biggest reason that I'm seeing here is because of there are still the original Xbox One consoles that hasn't even been opened yet at the stores that are still sitting on the shelf. And I'm not talking about, the mini fridge looking ones. I'm talking about the actual Xbox One, the big black bulky Xboxes. They are officially now stopped manufacturing them. I'm trying to figure out when they officially announced it. I know this has been something that's been going on for a while that they've been claiming that was going to happen. There was rumors getting leaked saying that, they were going to stop producing more Xboxes and stuff like that. That because of our chip shortage still, it seems like they are officially about to take that leap and stop making the old Xboxes. Now, obviously, that still means they're going to make the new Xboxes. They're still going to make the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series SX or XXX. I don't know what it's actually called. But they're going to keep making those ones, but they are going to officially stop making Xbox One consoles of all versions.
I was about to say, they're going to start making the other versions of the Xbox One as well.
Yes. According to this, they're going to stop making it. They're going to stop making all the consoles of the Xbox One consoles and all other versions, is according to this article I'm on. So, and the full article will be linked down below, right under the topic of what we're going to discuss today. All the articles we're going to talk about will be linked down below. So if you want to actually give it a full read, go ahead and do that, or go to IG or ING, GII. What is it called?
IGN.
IGN, there we go. Or go with the IGN. I know they've discussed it here recently. This is we're recording on like the 17th, and this was announced last week. It was officially Microsoft officially came out and confirmed it about 2 days ago. So with that being stated, though, I guess what are your actual feelings about this? Because I know consoles are apparently still a hard thing to find at this moment in time. So is it a good thing or a bad thing? Do we think they should just keep making them, even though obviously there's not a lot of people buying them? So I just want to know you guys' opinion. Let's start with you first, Joseph.
Sure. So I'm surprised that they've been manufacturing them for that long. Like I expect maybe a 6-month window or so once the Xbox Series X was released, which was a 2022 release. Sorry, not 2020. Oh boy, that's a 2020 release.
I was going to say.
So it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
I appreciate availability for them if people cannot get their hands on the Series X, but still want to have the next best thing. The only reason to continue manufacturing them is for it to be of a lateral choice where somebody says, well, I could get the Series X for these reasons, or I could get the Xbox One for these reasons. But there's just it's like, it makes sense if you're talking about choosing a home console versus a handheld.
Yeah.
Because now you have advantages and disadvantages. But in this case, it's like, okay, well, look, just wait till you have a Series X or enjoy what you have. So I actually will say I commend Microsoft for even having manufacturing going on for this long, but I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't see any downsides to it. This time has come. It's a natural part of the of a console's life cycle at this point.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Charles, what are your opinions on Microsoft officially stopping all series of the Xbox One?
I'm just glad I still have my Xbox One I've had for a few years now, and it's been working perfectly fine still. I'm just surprised it took this long for them to finally stop for producing them. But now when the 360 came out and everything, I think they stopped making the original Xbox not long after that, or whenever they first revealed the 360. But I don't know.
I'm pretty certain they had the original Xbox One out for a year. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure they were only keeping the manufacturing going for a year, and then they stopped, and then they continued on with the 360. And then I know when the 360 launched and the Xbox One launched, when they stopped officially making the Xbox 360s, is when they had the Xbox One Connect come out. I'm pretty certain because that was kind of like they released the Xbox One Connect, and I know the 360 had one, but I'm pretty sure it was around that time period when they released the One Connect. They were like, okay, let's put a pause. Let's
We
stop
all know how
making it.
that whole thing turned out with the Connect.
I mean, honestly, the Connect was awesome for its time. Like, I mean, it's not something you want to talk to your friends with because someone's punching a TV screen, but it was great for its time. Like, and that's a hard thing for me to think about is like the time period of when that was out. That was like 10 years ago they made the Connect, and looking at it now, it's like that's a bad piece of technology. Back then, oh my god, like you could turn it on, get the stick figure motion on there, and do weird like the Harlem Shake and stuff like that. It was honestly a great
Harlem
time.
Shake.
Well, that thing was used before back then.
That's just a perfect reference for the time period. Well played.
Thank you.
All that thing was used for back then, it was freaking watching sports or some streaming service, and you couldn't play used games on it. You freaking if you wanted to, like your friend borrow a game, there was a whole process to that. People were freaking, and I think there was a bunch of other issues with that thing that people were bitching and complaining about. And I think Microsoft had to back off and change a lot of things with the Xbox One Connect, and and the Connect itself was freaking shit. If we were trying to use it for in like a party or something because the audio was complete garbage. But
Right. I think with both Sony and Microsoft, their hands were forced because Nintendo had made such a massive breakthrough with the Wii.
The Wii, yeah.
And so they had to adopt motion controls. Now, what's funny is that although sales for Wii were incredibly strong right away, what their strategy was that those people who bought the game for like Wii Sports and all and fun stuff like that were going to transition into more hardcore games, and they didn't do it. So although the Wii performed exceptionally well at the beginning, it floundered, and it floundered for an entire second generation when they did the Wii U. So I think they might have been a little bit too like what's the word, reactive about doing motion controls. I think they probably could have just survived the console generation and not dealt with it, and maybe something that they integrate into the next console as a way to try to market to people who had bought the Wii specifically for motion controls. Sony, on the other hand, I think they handled that better because they tied the motion controls to the controller as well as the camera, and I think the Move just was better integrated into the system in the long run. So that was the main problem with the Kinect, is that I don't know this. You guys can tell me this. It sounds like the Kinect just does not have any relevance at all at this point.
At this point in time, the Xbox Connect, I don't even know a person that has it. So yeah, no, I would say the Kinect has kind of died.
PS4 had that short-lived like thing you could use with certain games like Killzone Shadowfall, or whatever it was called. Kind of like how the Wii would work if you were playing a Cabela's hunting game, but it was like you could use this motion thing that you could use, like you actually shooting the gun, freaking in the game, or whatever. And that was like a short-lived thing for the PS4.
But I mean, right there, and I'm not trying to go back in the age of like Xbox 360, but because we're on a Microsoft topic, but remember this though, they had the guns and stuff to where you could play hunting games and stuff like that, and the controller was the gun, and they didn't have to. I'm pretty certain they didn't have whole big bulky system. You didn't have to have the Kinect. It was a little sensor you would put on your TV. I think like on the top of your TV, and it would detect where the gun was moving to. I mean, that was great, and I'm pretty certain the PlayStation did the same thing because the Wii did it. The Wii originally made it for a Zelda game. I think they made the crossbow for a Zelda game, and then that what started leading up to the other weapons and stuff. I know they did the tennis racket. That was like one of the first ones they did. But
The Bell game, which was fun to play for the Wii, was
yeah,
it's on the like, little gun-looking thing.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was called Link's Crossbow Training.
Okay.
So yeah, that was it. That was one of that was one of their. I don't know if I would call it a system seller. It seemed like a glorified tech demo. You know what would have made that be like a pretty fantastic game if they had like a bunch of those all packaged into one. So it'd be like Link's Crossbow Training, Mario's Pole Vaulting Challenge, and so on and so forth. Samus's hunting. Mission XT92, and it's like an on-rail shooter where Samus guns down a bunch of people. So that would have been a bunch of people who deserve it.
Honestly, I think some people that like Metroid wouldn't have an issue with a Metroid rail shooter, but they'd probably still bitch. There's probably still be a lot more people bitching and complaining about it.
I'm just spitballing here, but I guess like a Star Fox would probably be a better on-rail shooter. Yeah, because again, the challenge is how do you make this accessible to people who bought the game from Wii Sports? So you don't want to go too ham on making these things intricate and complex. So
Terminator's rail shooter I've actually seen before on YouTube, and they had it. I think they had it. I forget what we had it when I went to CC's, but I know there was like a Terminator rail shooter that was actually pretty cool. And I know
they have those in arcades now.
And I think they had a Halo one too, which I kind of wish I could play.
Yeah, there's I don't know what like the arcade situation is like in the States. I imagine that there are some, but we have we have Palladium here in Canada. It's like it's one. We have the one building, but it's loaded with arcade machines, and there's this brand / like marketing term they use called Raw Thrills, which is any arcade game that's not going to pay you in tickets if you win or lose. So there's a Halo one that's like that. There's House of the Dead, of course, Jurassic Park, all of those.
And now I might have a reason to go up to Canada.
Yeah, well, don't you guys have Dave & Buster's?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that. Palladium is like Dave & Buster's, but leaning more into the game side.
Without the beer.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
It's like, but I mean, yeah.
Thank God we have weep capsules.
Just popping in before you get in there. You go into
a few hours before you get there. They need time.
Okay. More to know now. So yeah, that's kind of the situation. I'm going down the article, and it's I'm not lying to you guys. If you guys want to actually see the article, the link is in the description below. Highly recommend you giving it a read. It goes in a little bit more details. Like the spokesperson for Microsoft did come out and did state that they will continue to manufacture the Xbox One S and X for a certain time period. And then they're going to cut that as well. But right now, because of COVID-19, they're trying to focus more on the newer consoles. As we know, you can't find them at stores. They're trying to put more of their focus in on that. Because everyone immediately decided to not buy enough stock of stuff. So when everyone had to stay at home twiddling their thumbs, they're like, let's buy consoles. And there wasn't ton to buy because they did not buy enough stuff to do it. And then COVID happened and sweatshops got shut down. Apple. So, things happen.
Remember that the S is in the other X version of the Xbox One was like the ones that were like all digital only games, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty certain those are all the digital games. I think they do discuss it in the article. It's a really well precise article on exactly what's happening with it, and then they even have some stuff in there about PlayStation. It's on comicbook.com. It is a safe place. I mean, whatever. But yeah, so that's kind of what's going on with there. And then Joseph, I know there's been some stuff popping up on our radar as other podcasters and YouTubers out there. You've probably already seen people talk about it, and it's about G-Force. So because I'm trying to say
G4.
super G4, I'm sorry, not G-Force, G4. It's about
G-Force was a movie about a bunch of guinea pigs.
G-Force is who makes Nvidia's graphics cards.
That's it.
That's a movie about guinea pigs.
I'm not wrong, but
You're not wrong.
You were
but...
more or less not wrong.
Well, fair enough. But G4 is what I'm talking about. I'm going to try to stay as biased as possible because I've been on their news feed like commenting like crazy. So I'm going to try to be as biased as possible and also hear what Joseph is going to end up talking about.
You mean
Joseph,
unbiased?
Is that what
biased means you have a preference towards a certain?
Oh, unbiased. Yes. Right. I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as possible.
I'm gonna attempt to do that too because I don't want us to use this opportunity to just hit on the same beats that everybody else has hit on.
Yeah.
So just a quick recap. Growing up, I loved this channel called Tech TV. It was interesting, sophisticated at times, but they also had, like a more irreverent side. There was a late night show called Unscrewed, and occasionally they showed like, here's how to make your porn videos bigger. So, it was a mix of like during the day there was like call for help where people would like dial up and I have problems, and then like what are the coolest guy in the world, like Leo Laporte. Would answer the questions, and then like you wait long enough, and then they start showing porn clips. So like a really, really cool channel. And then G4 was made, my understanding, was made to compete with them. And G4 was more MTV in terms of its programming and its content and its attitude. And so G4 merged with Tech TV, which it was kind of a shock because I had no idea this was happening. I begged my parents to subscribe to Tech TV. I got like 3 months out of it. And then one day I turn on, I'm like, what the hell are all these shows? Icon, Cinematech, all of this stuff. So the G4 side rubbed me the wrong way a few times. There was one situation where I saw on an episode of Attack of the Show, they had pulled this clip from the internet of this Smash Brothers parody trailer, which is just like an intentionally low budget, funny video with a bunch of guys making a funny video. It's just like inoffensive. And their idea of Attack of the Show's content was to call them failures on live TV, which I don't think was particularly kind. And I've talked to you guys about some of the other ones. I don't want to bring up every one of them, but needless to say, after the impression Tech TV had left, it has always left me with a really bad taste in my mouth with G4. If G4 was a separate thing and Tech TV was over here, no problem. And I even enjoyed some of the G4 programming. So, even I was like, okay, some of the stuff is pretty good. So when G4 came back, I was apprehensive. And about around like last week, one of the hosts on XPlay got into this whole rant about sexism in games. If you look up the clip, you'll see it. It's gone viral. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed the Schadenfreude, which for those of you who don't know is taking enjoyment of the suffering of others. And seeing G4 get lambasted in this way was pretty pleasing to me. So like I enjoy watching them. And a lot of the YouTubers that we're talking about that were saying, well, I guess G4 is going to get shut down again. And I don't think so. I have a feeling that they're going to clean up their act and get past this because there is a lot riding on it. Yeah. But you have all of these YouTubers who are like one-person operations who get more views and have higher subscriber counts. And then you have G4, which probably has like 20 dedicated full-time professional staff making content, and they don't hit the same views. And this leads to the rant, and she's just like talking about how frustrated she is that some of the previous hosts were more conventionally attractive than she was. And so that's like the Cliff's notes of the story and my frame of reference for the story.
Good way to wrap it in together.
Now, initially, I want to just be like, ha, ha, ha. I just want to talk about it because I just want to pile on. And I don't want to do that now because I realize, what, that's just not, it's been done. Yeah. What I do want to do is talk about the issue with bringing up the more, serious matters on the show. So again, let me just make sure that it's very clear what happened here. So on an episode of Attack of the Show, they said, let's air our gaming grievances. And it was supposed to be like, if it takes too long to get to a checkpoint and then all of a sudden there's a big fight, things like that. And so when she brought up sexism in gaming, the whole gear shifted, and it was like, oh great, now we're going to talk about something pretty serious and yeah. So I'm totally guilty of this, even on economics. I still bring up politics once in a while. I brought it up here,
A lot.
and a lot. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I'm not gonna fight you on that. Although I do try to like, but the issue is, and here's my question for you: if we ignore politics, are we going to just make the situation worse?
100% yes.
So what do you think is the responsibility to like use your platform to actually discuss these issues?
I would say there's always a time and a place, and it depends how you label yourself. If you want to let the world know that, you're going to speak your opinions, if you're going to say something, you're going to accept the actions that you're going to take with it. I personally say go for it. Now, I'm an open individual. Like, I don't lean whatever sides. I'm all about talking about it, but I just know what other people will say. So I try to keep a lot of my personal politics out of it, but I'm a comedian. So I get a huge slip under the rug situation because I make jokes. I can be funny. I can do this, but I think for someone who has a platform that can speak their opinions, keyword their opinions, and I personally say it's a good thing and they should go for it.
Charles, thoughts?
I'm as long as they're like, as far as that it goes with me. I don't know. I never really was much really care for politics or anything. If you're gonna use like a platform of, like Jordan was saying, if you're gonna talk about stuff like that, you should at least try to be like, instead of making it, you should try at least not to make it seem like you're leaning towards one side, because there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna get pissed off about it on the other side, whatever.
Right.
You could get canceled for it. I mean, it's just what it is.
So remember when we were all mostly me taking the piss out of that guy who had said something negative about our show, and one of the things that we said was like, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch.
Yeah.
And that was a consistent comment that they were saying about this person's rant. Her nickname is Frosk, and she ends her rant by saying, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch. And the response to that is, that's not something you want to do for television. Don't, or for any content. You don't want to alienate your listeners. Mm-mm. So having thought about it, and also while I'm at it, some of Adam Sessler, who's like the main host of X-Play and is like a legacy host. He was on it back when it was like on TV. This was more than 10 years ago. And he has some tweets that are not favorable to the right to speak broadly.
Yeah.
To a point where he thinks that if you're in the Republican Party, you drink yellow water. So
yeah.
And I gotta say, I think I would rather know what they think so that I can make an informed choice as a viewer.
Yeah.
If they don't want me to watch, then I will go do something else. And I don't think that it is. This is where I disagree with the mainline point here, which is I don't think that it's going to be a death sentence for you to say, if you're not a target market, we don't want you here. In fact, I actually think it's a very healthy thing to do. It's addition through subtraction. It says, look, this content's just not for you. Yeah. So we're not going to saturate or sanitize or dilute our content by trying to appeal to this other side. You don't even need like 50% of the population to become president. Okay.
No.
So if a piece of content wants to cut half the audience out, they've just secured the other half. That's actually very sound business strategy. So I don't blame them for that. But I do hope that they that over time maybe G4 would transform into something that I can watch, that I would like to watch. I just don't see it happening, but luckily there's like 100,000 other things I can do with my time. Many of them quite good.
I didn't even know that it had already started going again. Don't even know if it's on TV.
It was funny how this is like a it's like a surreptitious way of like letting the audience know that they're back and making a splash. And heck, maybe their plan was, all right, you know what, we know what the internet is like. We know what's going to happen.
Hell,
go
that's
on
possible.
This rant.
That's highly possible.
Generate the controversy, and the subs we lose today will just be subs that will gain back tomorrow. And one last point for me, which is what I love about these like watershed moments where everyone's has to say something about it, is that is the time for YouTube content creators to generate a whole new wave of subscribers, because everyone's gonna give their take on something, and it gives us, the consumer, a chance to curate whose opinions we want to start following down the line.
Yeah.
So I must have listened to like 10 different YouTube videos, each one talking about the story, and like, I like that person's take on it. I haven't listened to that person before. So as a content creator, these moments are pretty important. So keep your eyes out on like when the next major story hits, and get ready to have a damn good take on it.
Yeah, especially if you focus a little bit more on the news side, or you do reaction stuff. I mean, this is not a podcast about helping you grow on YouTube. Do it yourself, but it's a situation of keep your eyes open. Because you will get people like us who we do this podcast for fun. We talk about things, and if you sat there and peeked one of our eyes, and we're like, I want to talk about this, and I want to use how he described the situation for the podcast. Now, we're going to consume his content. There's at least 3 people on our podcast. 3 of us are going to end up watching it so we could do it and help maybe get someone some clout. So, now...
I looked up that video. Oh, sorry, Jordan.
Yeah, go ahead.
I looked up that video he was talking about, and then I seen that Adam Sessler was part of X-Play again. And I subscribed to X-Play's YouTube channel because I missed that show, and I actually want to see if it's any good like it used to be. And I'm also just happy to see Adam Sessler, because that dude is one of my childhood favorite celebrities when it comes to that network.
I looked up to him for quite a few years. I don't look up to him now so much, but
he's old as fuck.
He did, he did say I'm adjacent to pee drinkers, so I'm just gonna move on.
I wonder what happened to the girl that used to be a co-host of play with him.
Morgan Webb.
Yeah, I wonder whatever happened.
Oh, actually, that reminds me. So I had realized how much I missed Tech TV, to the point where I had like entertained the idea of finding out just like what the property is worth. So for those of you who are like me, where you miss, or at the very least enjoy, the idea of a programming that was critical, but you didn't have to fart in your face to make a point. Leo Laporte, which was probably one of the best people to come from Tech TV, he's got the whole network going for him now called This Week in Tech. You do twit.com. I just found it like a couple of days ago. I'm like, holy crap! They're actually still around. So in a way, Tech TV lives on, and that makes me happy. But let's see what happened to Morgan Webb.
I know one thing that
image search, probably should skip that for the day.
Depending on what time I get home from work, and depending on when it starts, I'm hoping that I'm thinking about actually doing a live reaction to this year's Daytona 500. It's a NASCAR race.
Yeah, do you? I mean, if that's what you feel like doing, I say go for it.
Yeah. So, side note, I found where I feel like such a stalker for this, but I figured out where she's working. She's working for bonfirestudios.com as a community manager. So, with respect, she knew her stuff very well, and so I'm happy to see that she's still in the games industry. Good. I guess more of a low profile at this point, like doesn't want to be an on-screen presence. Yeah, you get tired of it, you get tired of it. You don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. Want to, can't. Whatever the case is.
And she's not as young as she was during the X-Play days, because her and Adam Sessler, like I've always said, I liked watching X-Play because they were freaking funny and shit. and they were like my two favorite people that were on X Play.
Yeah, I miss that show dynamic. I enjoyed it a lot too. So the last thing that I wanted to say, in full self awareness is like, I remember when politics started to invade everything, and it's much earlier on than you think. Like I grew up watching The Simpsons, and The Simpsons brought politics into the mix.
Oh yeah.
So as much as I get annoyed with myself when I bring politics into it, and I'm sure I'm not the only person. Um, I wish we didn't have to bring it up. I do find it fun to talk about in terms of like a policy. Hey, how do we make the world a better place? I enjoy that conversation.
100%.
And the other side of it is we're all just gonna have to suck it up and deal with politics until we don't have to deal with it anymore. And we've solved enough problems that we can put it aside. We're not there right now.
No.
And we're not gonna be there right now for a long time. And for people who really want to stay out of it, I respect that. I wish I could stay out of it, but I don't think it's a good idea. I think if you stay out of politics, don't complain when the people who disagree with you end up getting their way.
Yeah, that kind of wraps into what I was saying at the beginning is like, if you're gonna get into politics, be prepared for the things that you're gonna say and how you're going to pronounce yourself in a way. Like you need to be aware of the things that you're about to say. Take notes, do whatever you got to do, but when you get into politics, that's what happens. Like me and my mom can be on the phone for like 8 hours talking about politics because we have different eyesights with everything. We have different opinions. We have all kinds of different stuff with it. But if I got on camera and talked about politics, I will be canceled tomorrow. There's no bits, but someone's not going to like what I say. And it's how you can, for one, a good host can really make sure like the news they're giving is the news. And a lot of times they put their own personal opinions to the side, or they have a way to say their personal opinion without causing backlash. So it's just, if you're going to get in the politics side, just know what you're going to say before you say it. And be prepared for the outcome of your words. Your words can do wonders. So just be prepared for the things that will leave your mouth. Charles, how do you like politics?
I never really cared for them, and I just try to keep my opinions about certain things to myself.
I agree. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine.
But those who actually watch and follow my YouTube channel know how I feel when it comes to wrestling related stuff, and I've made NASCAR related reactions before too. Those are like the only two things you'll ever really see me do stuff for. I know when I make videos, but when it comes to stuff like somebody getting released or something going on, one of those things. That and I'll occasionally do like I'll do a react. My best version of watching a trailer for a video game. If I freaking don't know how to do the whole thing, especially with what I have, for stuff that I use to make my videos and everything. So I can't do that whole thing where I have the trailer on one corner and freaking my camera on the other corner, freaking kind of thing, And I can't. And I did like a couple movie reactions once before too, but mostly for a couple of Scooby-Doo movies. But the only way you'd be able to know I was watching if you hear what little audio like that slips in, freaking in the background. But I think that's mostly what I think helps me avoid getting copyright related bullshit, because I don't actually see the freaking trailer thing. You can't really claim copyright for freaking audio. That one band did try to get
the DMCA. I mean, Twitch has a whole thing.
Yeah, I put a Smash Mouth video on my YouTube channel.
Oh, you poor bastard!
I got DMCA'd 5 times.
Yeah, and if you use AC/DC's Highway to Hell or Thunderstruck, oh my god. Like Iron Man, the movie they made for that, they had to pay over $3 million to put a little bit of audio to that. I was like, that's like that's crazy.
And I don't know if you remember when I told you about this, Jordan, but when I was making the videos, when I was doing a playthrough of the original Borderlands, where I was doing forget what it's called. It was basically a playthrough I could only use a certain type manufacturer's weapons. It was my melee, my melee
yeah.
one. I freaking got a freaking copy by playing freaking on one of my Borderlands videos, and I'm freaking a small ass YouTube, but I'm just a little channel, and I was just a little channel back then, freaking, and somehow these guys that did the music for Borderlands got me for freaking music that was playing in the background.
Well, yeah, because it's a robot. Like,
yeah, it's all an algorithm.
It's not someone going out of the way to try to catch you.
Yeah, it's an algorithm. Now, someone can go out of their way and report it, but the chances of that happening, you have to have some haters out there. But a lot of times, especially with audio, it's an algorithm that picks it up. It's like saying the words fuck on camera. If you're a child-friendly censored channel, it will pick it up. If you use the beep sensor, it will pick it up because it shows that, okay, it's bad content. That's why people keep doing things like hyena sound, or they use a bird chirp, or like that's the reason they do that stuff. Is not because they don't want they don't want people to hear them swear. It's because of the bots, the algorithms that run YouTube are so fine little details, and you could get a manual review to get it to fly past, and that's what you always should do, especially for something stupid like a copyright claim for Borderlands music. If you're playing Borderlands, the whole copyright issue we talked about last year with the whole things that was going on. I mean, when it's all said and done, if you get a manual review on it that it's easy to fill out, you can get those claims removed. That I would highly recommend doing before you ever get monetized. Because once you get monetized, oh no, you're not getting them removed. I don't care who you are.
When I seen that, I was honestly a bit surprised. I was like, what the fuck? Why am I getting this when I'm just this tiny little channel just doing it just with shits and giggles, and because I was bored and just needed something to do for video content and shit. And I was just like, I'm not even going to bother dealing with this crap. I'm just going to delete it because this videos ain't doing shit anyway.
Every time you say I was a tiny little channel, all I want to sit there and think of is I'm a tiny little boy. I'm a tiny little man.
Like I said, I honestly took it as like, I was actually kind of surprised, like I said, and I was actually kind of a bit of pride in it because it was like, I guess somebody must be noticing me on YouTube.
I mean, 100 subscribers, there's definitely people noticing you. But there's also some people noticing PlayStation right now. So PlayStation has some little secrets behind the scenes, a little sweet sauce. So Charles was the one that actually gave us a review, but I'll real fast load it back up, but pretty well. So as we know, the PlayStation 5 is not backwards compatible at all. We all know that. I don't even think you can play PlayStation 4. The PS5 and possibly the PS4 are finally getting PS3, PS2, and PS1 backwards compatibility, unlike the Xbox Series X, which plays many of 360's original games on it. The PS5 only plays PS4 games. And of course PS5 games as well. It isn't backwards compatible with PS3, PS2, and PS1 games. So there's been some rumors, and once again, we'll link this down in the description below. It's from a comic book, and we'll link it down below. But this was a story I know Charles is excited to talk about, so we're going to shoot it over to him. Charles, go into some details about this. What do you think?
Apparently, thinking from what this article Jordan was talking about, saying there's a possibility that PlayStation might be finally making their PS1 through 3, at least certain parts of the library, being backwards compatible, like the Xbox One does with some of their older games. And it would be nice if that would be possible, because then I don't know if they'll let us use the old discs or not, or if they'll have them on the store like the Game Pass does for Xbox One, and everything. But if I could be able to play freaking the Resistance trilogy, which is one of my few PlayStation exclusive games I actually would have jumped over to PlayStation for to play, I know if I could play this old freaking crossover freaking motocross game that also is like Twisted Metal and freaking jumped up to 1 million, and freaking if you don't have any of the millions of versions of the original Ratchet and Clank games, if you have the original Ratchet and Clank for PS2, if I could actually be able to do that, and all I'd have to do is just have a PS4, PS5, that would be freaking nice.
Yeah, definitely. Now, the one of the things that are happening with this, I'm pretty certain the PlayStation 5 doesn't actually have a disc slot, right? Does anyone know that 100% guaranteed?
I'm pretty sure
I,
it does because I know
I
I watch on Twitch it has physical games that he can put in.
yeah, I think every PlayStation
Okay.
available has a disc
I
slot because
wanted
remember they're not just also because a lot of their marketing too is like to also be able to use Blu-rays.
yeah,
So
that was one of the reasons why I was like, okay, I just want to confirm this first. So now I'm not a mechanical engineer. I don't do anything involving the internal sides of a console, but the thing that spikes my curiosity is you have the PlayStation 1's, PlayStation 2's, and PlayStation 3 games. Now, remind you, the PlayStation 3 games have, you could tell a thickness difference. So, I don't know how they can do that properly. I personally think, from what the little bit I got to see it and a little bit of what Charles told us off cam, is that they're going to give us downloadable content with their Sony Game Pass. They're going to give us those downloadable content that we can get, and luckily they're only like megabytes, honestly. So they're probably going to end up doing that. I do not see it being possible for them to let you put in an old copy of Need for Speed in your PlayStation 5. I don't see it being possible. I truly don't. I think they're gonna bring them back to downloadable content. They did that with the PS3 for a little while. They made it to where you could download a lot of the PS1 games. I know a lot of it stopped because of certain reasons, but I
Probably
don't
give
think
some of
it's
these games a graphical update.
I see that's the thing is I think it's because they really need some good graphics updates to them, and if they have them on discs, they're not gonna be able to do it. I don't think it's gonna be possible for them to truly make this backwards compatible, but I hope, I'm fingers crossed, toes, looping around each other. Like, I really hope that it is possible for them to do this. I unfortunately just don't see it being possible because then also now you have more of a supply demand issue. PlayStations already are still hard to find, but now you're bringing back games that were made in 1998. That's going to be hard to compete with all this. So that's how I feel. I hope it's possible, but I don't see it being possible that way. I think they have to remaster the old content, make it compatible with it, and they honestly should put it on their Sony Game Pass, or they should just give it for free, pay $1 for it or something like that. If you get so many trophies, you get points, and then you use those points and you could buy those old games. And I feel like they should do something along those lines with
I've been
it.
saying it forever since Sony owns Insomniac, who made this freaking franchise right here. Remaster this fucking game. Jeez.
Hide your
That's what you,
kids.
Bluepoint.
Joseph, your opinions on it.
just real quick, I was just wondering, what are you enjoying there? Is that scotch?
No, I do not drink. I can get addicted to things so quick. No, it is a really, really raw tea. It's been marinating for 3 days, and
Ooh.
it goes into freezer. It comes back out. The tea bags unfreeze and releases everything. You switch out, put some new ones in, throw it back in the freezer, and it's great. It's like it's so it has a bitter, but it's so nice. Like, it's a really nice taste. It's nothing like a green tea, and this is it's like a mint tea that I personally love, a mint with jasmine, and you can make it your own style. So it's a mint with orange and jasmine, and it's great. It is fantastic. So
So you're drinking the scotch of teas because that's a pretty involved process, I gotta say.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I am drinking the scotch of tea in a sense. But no, it's actually like people do not believe me. Like, I tell them I don't do weed. I don't do any drugs. All the vitamins I take and stuff are 100% vitamins. How I deal with depression, how I deal with stress, and everything else is through natural ways to do it, yoga, things like that. Like, don't do anything else because I can't easily get addicted. If I'm stressed, I work out. And that's the reason why I can lose weight quick, because I work out. But that
Mhm.
also has side effects. So if I'm stressed out all day, here I am working out all day. The next day, I'm dead. I'm dead to the world. I'm just like, I
Mhm.
hurt, I ache, my muscles are as sore as can be. So it's not good. The other way is stress eating. That is where I gain a lot of weight. So
Right,
I
right.
literally have the two things that fight each other. It's like how to deal with stress. Eat a bunch of food, work out. Which one are you doing? But yeah, I
I
mean,
would just play Halo with me and freaking listen to me rage and screaming at people.
that's a whole other way to deal with stress, but not a good way to deal with it. In a
Yeah,
sense either.
real quick. Weed's not a good way to deal with stress. Weed is like, hey, if I'm in a good mood, it makes it better. Maybe
Whoa.
some people it helps, like some people their chemistry works, but typically for me, it has not been a cure. I have to deal with stress in my own way.
Okay. That actually, true, honest to God, guys. Like, I'm not trying to derail the podcast. I'm not trying to do all that. We talked about your stories, reading them in the description. I'm real. I want to know this
I
now.
will say something on the PlayStation, but we'll get back to it.
Okay, yeah, I want to know. I don't want to know this first. So why do people take weed then? Is it just to feel good when you're already feeling good, or is I was told it was like a stress relief. Like you take it, and you're like,
Okay, yeah.
oh,
So
like it's
I'm
good.
gonna
Like
I,
I
I'm
just want to
gonna
know. I just
yeah
honestly
I'm
want to
gonna
know.
say I probably was like a little too assertive with that statement. I will say I will correct the record. I'm sure it is stress relief for quite a few people, especially if it's a medicinal. Right? People have PTSD
Mm-hmm.
and they have certain issues. Okay, yeah, no, that was me being an idiot. However, for basic recreational use, we can actually cause more stress than relief because it makes people paranoid. One of the main problems is that if you smoke something, um, you're putting smoke into your system, and smoke triggers the fight or flight response. So that actually creates paranoia, and then of course you're getting high, and so now a person's like, "Oh my god, I'm freaking out." So, so unless it's like specifically designed to be stress release, you're taking a real chance on what effect you're going to have
Okay.
when you smoke. So aside from that, the main appeal of it is that it opens up the reward pathways, and it pretty much can make anything feel rewarding, which is good and bad. So here's the analogy that I love using. So picture one of the most like physically intensive days that you've had from a job,
Okay.
and you go home, and on your way home you pick up your favorite hamburger, and you're ready to sink your teeth into that thing, and it's the
Triple cheese
most
chicken.
delicious rewarding bite that you've ever taken, and it feels great. Now, same day, the laziest day that you've had, you feel like a total tub of lard, and you have a hamburger at the end of the day. Does it taste as good? No, it's not satisfying to eat. It still tastes somewhat good, but it's just the whole reward, the whole build up to it is just gone. Weed allows you to experience scenario A pretty much like no matter what you do, which is great, but also can be dangerous because now you're opening up the reward pathway for everything. You can be drinking a glass of orange juice can taste delicious, but if you get sick and you throw up, oh boy, yeah, you are gonna experience vomit like you've never experienced before. It's
Okay.
like even like more fundamental than that, what it does is it messes with your ability to perceive time. So if I take a sip of fruit punch normally, it tastes good. That's great. Now if I'm high and I take a sip of fruit punch, it feels like it's lasting longer than it actually is because of the way I'm processing information is harder. So a 1 second sip can feel like 2 to 3 seconds in my perspective. So it's information overload. It's like what's going on? And I drink this, and that's I would say the most accurate that I can describe it. So yeah, that's everything I got.
Okay, honestly, that was like I didn't know because once I said it, I don't do drugs, I don't do weed, I don't do anything. The way I act, people assume I at least do weed, and that's not the case. I'm just a crazy human being. But yeah, I mean, I was just legitimately curious about that, and but you also said that you did have some opinions on PlayStation, so
Yeah,
uh,
well, I mean, the idea that it's going to be like right back on track. Here we go. Uh, I'm ecstatic for it. I would love it for it to be backwards compatible because there are games across all of the PlayStation's library that I'd love to play
Mm-hmm.
right back from the very beginning. You guys ever hear of Blast Chamber on the PlayStation 1?
No, I never heard of it.
That's a game I would love to play. Resistance, yeah. There's that. I didn't no legitimately. I would want to play the Resistance series. I want to play the Killzone games. There's a whole bunch of games I would love to play. So this would be a huge win for Sony if they can pull it off. I'm not as skeptical about the disc problem as you are.
Really?
I think it's more like they might use it to read the information, but maybe they don't need to have it running constantly. Maybe there's some way that they can extract the information, like an installation process, create an emulator,
and then
create
stop
a
the
ROM
disc
on there.
from getting spun. That would stop any other thin issues, as long as they can sit there.
Yeah.
And, I guess,
I
yeah.
don't know. The thing that I am more skeptical about is the idea that they would remaster as basically every game.
Mhm.
I think they would be selective about what they remaster in terms of resources, but maybe they could just put out a native emulator across all of the systems and then have all the ROMs available. That would be a pretty efficient way to have the full PlayStation library available. And then maybe all you need to actually own it is like put the disc in. It reads the disc and says, yeah, he's got Blast Chamber. All right, here's your ROM, or will you buy it on the store afterwards?
I don't know if they still have the. I don't know if people still play the multiplayer online for the other two Resistance games, but I know the multiplayer for this was shut down, which is disappointing. But if they remastered this and they let us play multiplayer on it, they'd literally be worth the money because this game was freaking really fun to play. And a lot of people probably be really, especially PlayStation fans that actually played this game back in the day, probably be happy about that.
Now, the other thing that I want to say too, if you compare the continuity between the PlayStation systems versus Microsoft and Nintendo, is that I think PlayStation, out of everybody, has the most responsibility for backwards compatibility. And the reason why is because there's a continuity of experience. All of their systems are named PlayStations. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mhm.
You look at Nintendo, they do make improvements to their hardware
Yeah.
some of the time, but each of their systems are a relatively unique experience. Like the difference between jumping from Super Nintendo to N64, I don't think anybody expects that to be one system.
No.
The GameCube, not only was it a 3D system, but it was this whole subversive design philosophy. Every Nintendo flagship game was weird in some way. Kirby Air Ride, Mario Kart Double Dash, Wind Waker. Mario gets a water gun, and Luigi is in a mansion. Like all of their games were weird,
Yeah,
and that
then you
whole system
go-
is a contained experience. So I actually think you lose out bringing those over onto other systems. And then Microsoft, I'm not the expert on it, but so I actually would have to throw this question to you, which is: was there a distinguished feature across the Xbox systems that, aside from visuals, aside from from processing power, something really distinctive about the voice of the system came through?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Like,
I can say from experience about stuff that I liked about the original Xbox because I had the original Xbox for the longest time before I got my first 360.
well, go
Well,
ahead.
I'm
then.
actually living in an original Xbox right now. The rent was pretty reasonable, so.
Things I liked about the original, like old school Xbox, I was like, it had a really cool load screen when you started it up and everything. That was one of the coolest things I liked about it. Plus, it had this giant freaking controller that's called a Duke that actually came out with a modern day version of it that's exactly looks just like it. And it's just as big and it's expensive as hell, but I still want it one of these days. I never see the Duke was like the size of an N64 controller, but without all the buttons and without it anywhere near as many buttons and everything. And I like that controller. I'm probably like one of the few people that actually like holding the Duke and playing Halo 1 and 2 on that thing, on the original Xbox and everything. And I remember.
No, you're talking about like the original Xbox controller, which had like the massive
Yeah.
thing
Circle
in the middle.
yeah. See, I think personally, for like one of the things that stand out, especially like when you think Xbox, when you think of Xbox, what do you think of? I I think, well, I mean, yeah, you think of video games and stuff with it, but like what the console itself, like when you think of the console itself, I think about a box. And I know that's like, oh, Xbox, but that's it. And they kept that form the whole entire time. So I think Xbox, that's their unique twist to it. They keep it box shapes and they keep doing it. Instead of PlayStation, it started with like a weird like sandwich looking thing. And then they went to, okay, bulky and round, and now we have a modem. Like, you know, so that's what they ended up doing. I mean, versus Xbox, it went, okay, box, and they just kept doing the boxes. I think it's also that turn on. I think when you turn on the Xbox, and I'm not talking about taking on a date. No, I'm talking about like actually like hitting that power button, hearing it click, and it loads up like the whole that whole thing of the original Xbox loading up. Every time you turn on an Xbox, you get some kind of effect to it. So not the Discord sound, but you get that was a perfect time. But you get like an actual like effect to it, and I think that's one of the main things you think about when you think of like Xbox as a console versus like Nintendo's and everything else. God, and handheld Nintendo's, by the way. Oh my God. You have Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and you're like, oh my God, there's just boom, boom, boom. They're keeping it in pattern, they're keeping it in line, and then the Switch. And I get it, the Switch, like they made the Switch. I get it. But it's like you have Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and then you have Nintendo Switch. It's like, okay.
Well,
you really
I mean,
you had the Wii. Yeah, you had the DS.
The DS is kind of a big pillar between those 2 points.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, that still doesn't make any sense though. You literally have like consoles that stick with the name, like PlayStation. If you buy a PlayStation game, what is it gonna say on the top? It's gonna say PlayStation. Buy an Xbox game, it's gonna say Xbox on it. So when you're not changing the name of the console so much, it helps keep that a label in a sense on it. So like PlayStation could go through their whole entire game library and say, let's bring it to the PS6. Like, let's do that. You know, Xbox, let's bring every game that ever been made for the Xbox and let's put it on there. Like, you know, they can do that because it's much easier versus Nintendo. They're gonna be like, let's just add some things we have licensing for.
Just like, they have like 6 different kinds of cartridge sizes. You got the SD cards. They caved into peer pressure and actually ended up doing discs for a while, but they had to go with like the little rinky-dink discs, and they had the large ones. So yeah.
This is still one of my favorite handheld systems besides the Switch.
Yeah, honestly, but again, with Nintendo, like they I think this is a strength of Nintendo, is that they really do lead with artistic vision, and that's why like the Wii and the Wii U are their own unique thing, to the point where it's like, hey, if I'm in the mood of having a Wii experience, which if I'm being honest hasn't happened in over 8 years, but still, you never know. It getting into the Wii experience is like, oh, I'm gonna stand up, I got the controllers, I'm gonna swing around.
Yeah,
it could stand on its own. I'm curious to see where Nintendo's gonna go with this, because one of the things that they said about the Switch was it was the culmination of all of the lessons they had learned up to that point. Handhelds, of course, portability being a big thing, being able to switch between like going onto the TV. Sorry, I unintentionally said it there. For God's sakes, it's the call to Switch. What do you want?
I know. It's like it's right there. It's like you're put me down.
The motion controls, right? So the motion controls, what they learned from the Wii, and so everything that they experimented with all came together, and that's why the Switch is such a good goddamn system.
Yeah.
But I would love to see what they're gonna do next.
I would love to see what they do next. I would also love to see like what the following consoles do next, because we have the PS5, we have the Xbox, we know the intentions for Xbox, but Sony is hitting a market right now I don't think Microsoft can actually compete with. Think about it this way. Microsoft already threw their Yes, but they already threw their hat in the ring with PC. Yes, you might say why would that be a big deal? Sony's now doing it. Think of the hype Sony's getting now because of moving stuff to the PC. It's gaining hype. People are ready for it. People are wanting it to happen. Sony's putting Discord on their PlayStations. They're trying to work that deal out. Wait, so now you have Sony that's going to have a PlayStation is now going to have Discord so you can chat with people on PC? Cool. Like, they're doing so many, like, little tiny things that are going to make them so much bigger and do so many more things. And yes, Sony has cameras, Sony has TV, Sony has all this. But the one thing Sony's been really persistent on is not finding the balanced level with their competitors. If they launch something, they want it to be ahead of the game. If that's raising their console up for $5 extra, they will do that. They want to be ahead of it. So seeing what we have now, seeing what's already announced, I'm excited to see what Nintendo's going to do, what Sony's going to do, and what Xbox is going to do. Because right now, Xbox, I don't know if anyone has tried this. If you go on to, Microsoft Edge on the Xbox, you can log into your Discord and talk to your friends through your Xbox headset. You can 100% do that, but they're trying to make the workaround so you can actually have it on in the background. As you guys may have known, in 2017, Xbox One did release a little side screen feature that was on the original Xbox One, to where you can have side screens, you can have YouTube up playing while you're playing your games, you can have Netflix on, you can do all that stuff. Well, I think that's what they're trying to do, except more in the background area. I think they're trying to figure out those like fine little tooth and nail situations, but they're working on it, but they're going the back way around. They're not trying to make a deal with Discord. They're trying to find a way to go around the situation. And it's working. Like, I give it to Microsoft, it's working, versus PlayStation, who's actually trying, or not PlayStation, Sony, that's actually trying to do something. So, like, I'm excited to see what Nintendo's going to be bringing. I'm excited to know what Sony's going to be bringing, Microsoft's going to be bringing. And I'm so excited for the PC world. Like, the PC world is about to, like, just blow our minds here soon. And I'm getting an Oculus this year, everyone. I'm getting one. My PC's set up and ready for it. I went through the test. It's set to go. You know, I'm gonna be doing the Macarena. It's gonna happen. But
excited when they released the trailer for God of War, the newest God of War that it's coming to PC apparently.
oh god, God of War. I wasn't allowed to play that. There was too many titties. My mom did not like it.
That's why you don't play the freaking that sex mini game that's usually early on in the game.
That's why you play it. As a 13-year-old boy, I'm not recommending this, but if you're 13, don't listen to our podcast. But if you're a 13-year-old boy, you're trying to find you some titty. It doesn't matter if it's 8-bit, you are trying to find some nip, okay? It's just what you do as a 13-year-old boy. Well, yeah, but, you know, as a kid.
Literally just usually seeing something getting shaken off a freaking nightstand while it's basically a freaking QuickTime event.
Interesting. I like the path you decided to go. But speaking
of
going,
because I played God of War.
I don't care how many titties you wanted to touch in your life, okay? I just need to make sure we all good on the subject, and that there's no more final words for the PlayStation's hopeful announcement. Joseph, do you have anything?
I'll just say I'm just glad God of War got that out of their system before they brought in motion controls.
Yep. Agreed.
Timing is everything.
Okay, so that is our Sony story. So that was another successful podcast. So let's go ahead and sell ourselves out. So Charles, where can people find your craziness?
If you like to watch gameplay from like various video games, mainly Halo or Destiny, if they ever make another good one, freaking Call of Duty or whatever, or if it's just like watching somebody with a group of friends with live acting wrestling related stuff and possibly soon to be NASCAR stuff from home by the time these races happen, and you can just go find my channel, which is CG Lone Wolf, which is now sitting at 118 subscribers right now. Also, occasionally I think I post with YouTube shorts of random shit. It usually involves me flipping out about something.
Nice. Make sure to stay tuned there. Joseph, I sent you the script. I would expect you to read it, so go ahead. And begin.
If you want to see me at my most poised, you can check out my e-commerce podcast hosted by Debeautify. The podcast is Ecom Onyx, ECOMONICS. You head on over to Google, type that in. Google asks if you meant to spell it another way, which, by the way, I can't do anymore. I cannot spell economics properly anymore. I can't do it because I'm just going to accidentally spell the name of my show. Nonetheless,
fair.
Tell them no. And then if you want to see, kind of like get a feel for what I work on in my spare time, you can go to giantenemycompany.com. One of my goals for this year is to consolidate all of my content and material so that you go there, you'll see everything. That's a work in progress. And if you are entrepreneurially minded in any way, shape, or form, and you need somebody to kind of like, help you, show you some resources, people are encouraged to reach out to me. You can find me on Twitter at tinyenemy_shrimp. If you find me on Facebook, you have to find the face that looks like this face, or joseph.ianni at debeautify.com, which is debutify.com. I am happy to help people, share some resources, get people going in the right direction. So feel free. Don't be shy. Just let me know what you're thinking about, and I'm happy to share what I know. I've been privileged to talk to some really incredible people, including Jordan, which is how I met. Not a lot of people would have done that. Most of the people would be like, "I've been great. I've talked to a lot of incredible people. I've also talked to Jordan." No, I'm not. I wasn't going to do that. But I've met a lot of great people and heard a lot of really incredible stories. So, and they've taken their time to share knowledge with me for free. So the least that I could do is pass that along. So yeah, I'm just happy to do what I can to help people find their own way in this world.
That is awesome. Like, exactly. I mean, sure. Let's just.
How else are you gonna do it?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of need a little something. So I appreciate you reading the script. I did not like you going a little off track, but you gave me a little, butterflies. So I appreciate that. But for me, you can find me at Skull 100 Games. If you guys subscribe now to everywhere I'm on, you will be there before I hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So it will happen. Trust me. We're about to drop a video. It's about to be amazing. It's 6 minutes long, and you feel like you've been there for an hour. That's not an insult. That's a compliment. So make sure to subscribe to Skull 100 Games on YouTube. Shut up, Joseph. I know what I'm doing. And make sure to follow our Facebook channel. That is where we stream and make our TikToks. TikToks. Make sure to follow TikToks. Joseph, I don't know what's so funny, but you about to be served, bruh. I'm about to send you some papers. And to find this podcast, you can find us anywhere. Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts from. It's none of our business. And thank you, Anchor, for sponsoring the podcast. If you're looking for a place to get your podcast started, make sure to download Anchor and go to the Anchor app or download Anchor today. Guys, you can go to the website, go to the app. It's right there for you. You heard them. We love them. Download Anchor. So, guys, we did it. We made it. 2022, guys. Whoa! It's a great year. Great year, everybody. No technical difficulties. None. There's none. Don't worry about the weird cuts in the edit. That's nothing. So, guys, without further ado, deal with it. Da-da-da-da.
Bring this freaking game back, Sony. We'll find you.
I did not pay $20 for these.